All right, guys. Thank you for joining. We had kind of a great week. I mean, BTC is still green, alt's pumped, especially on chain. On chain is pumping, which I know a lot of you guys like to play on chain shit. So I hope you guys made good money this week and, protected your capital and all that type of shit. But what are we going to talk about today? We're gonna follow the standard schedule. We're gonna talk about macro. We're gonna after that we're gonna chart BTC, ETH, and Sol. After that, we'll look at some altcoins and whatnot. Maybe not from the scanner, or maybe from your comments. Who knows? Just if you guys want me to look at any coins, post it in the chat, and we'll look at it after we're done charting Sol. All right. So let's just go over the macro and what happened the last 7 days, right? So the market went up, as you guys can see here. Market went up. S&P, Nasdaq gained, and we went up, but I swear there's still like problems underneath, and I'll get to that in a bit. But a lot of the boom that we're seeing again is related to AI and the AI sector as a whole. And honestly, I am bullish on AI, and I after Q4, we're actually going to see a lot of the positive impacts of AI, and I will get to that, but in general, there is going to be kind of like a boom in the economy, like a bottom and then boom in the economy, general economy I'm talking about when it comes to AI, and I'll get to that later in a bit. But um let's look over because last week, if I recall, where was it? Where is it not showing? Okay. So we had the what do you call it, Federal Reserve speech, right? So what that speech pretty much told us, there was the Fed minutes, and it showed that the few officials already believed there was a case for raising rates, and the committee, sorry, was basically divided into two camps. One camp was thinking that inflation will cool by itself. The other camp thinks that another hike is required if inflation stays high. So what many people didn't really realize is that um, they weren't even discussing rate cuts. So during the whole minutes, right, there was no even talks of a rate cut happening. So rate cut has disappeared from the debate. So the only thing they're talking about is whether to increase rates or keep it at where we're at right now. So that's something that really, flew over people's heads. And the other thing I did mention that the Fed also removed most of its forward guidance. Like we're not used to what J Powell, like J Powell always told us what's going to happen, what they're gonna do, what their decisions are, and all that things. So with this, with the what do you call it? With the new Fed, we're not gonna get that. There's gonna be less hand holding, less certainty about future decisions. The markets may become more sensitive to every inflation report or every oil move or every geopolitical headline because the Fed is not giving us, the forward guidance, right? Like we are used to, right? So this is a big change. This is actually a big change. So now you're gonna have to be somewhat understanding of how macroeconomics works, and you're gonna have to start thinking outside the box and thinking in probabilities. If this happens, then the chance of this outcome increases, yada yada, and so forth. So before we didn't really have to think. We were just told. We were given the answers. Now that has changed, right? The other thing is the Fed officials discussed like the inflation impact on the AI investment boom that we're seeing. So companies are competing for semiconductors, electricity, data center capacity, cooling equipment, construction, and specialized workers, right? So this is the part that's actually kind of bullish for the general economy as a whole, but I think that bullishness will come later. um this is AI is like probably the biggest tech advancement we've ever had in our civilization after the internet, right? But the good thing is this is going to be a massive physical construction and commodity cycle, right? So they're talking about, and this is what as well gonna help the economy as a whole, because now they're hiring specialized workers. Now they're building machinery. They're buying equipment. They're buying raw materials, and yeah, like the cycle goes all around, right? So, like they they need to buy chips from all over the world. So there's gonna be more hiring, and there's gonna be billions of dollars spent to build all of this infrastructure, right? So this will help economic growth while potentially keeping inflation elevated. And that this is where the strange situation happens, where the technology sector performs really well, but the Fed, you know, stays tighter because of the same investment boom. So this is something as well, like as I said, is a strange situation with the Fed because they don't want to increase rates and they don't want to cut rates, and they're hoping that inflation just fixes itself while we have a potential economic boom with the AI cycle. So let's see what happens. Honestly, let's see what happens. There's, other things that we need to pay attention to. Like as well, one of many people don't know this, but companies like Pepsi and Costco um, have data, like decades worth of data to know when the economy is slow and when the consumer is like not doing well. And right now they're both saying, like these two companies in particular are saying like, hey, people are actually poorer than usual. They're still spending, but they're becoming far more selective. They're buying like smaller packages, the cheaper alternatives, or waiting for promotions. As not, they're not saying that the consumer is dead or they're not buying. They're saying the consumer has become cheap. Like for example, Costco reported that their beef sales has gone up while their chicken has gone up, right? Or even canned chicken has gone up because this is recession indicators for them. So the other thing is these companies are reporting acceptable revenues, but the quality of their revenue is actually cheaper or worse, because they're doing discounts, they're doing more advertising to maintain those revenues or increase those revenues, but their profit margins are actually weaker, and that's what the headline is not showing you, right? They're telling you the revenues have gone up, but they're not showing you that their net profit has actually gone down because they're spending more to maintain that revenue or to grow that revenue. And they're selling you cheaper products, right? So we have that going on. Now, we have a housing issue as well. So we have a situation where buyers cannot afford the payments, and many owners also do not want to sell because they don't want to lose their old low mortgage rates. So the housing market is not going up, it's not going down. It's like kind of frozen between owners who won't sell and buyers who can't afford to buy, right? So this is not your normal housing crash caused by like too much supply. It's different. This is actually a liquidity problem. There's a lack of activity problem. That's what it is, right? People are not selling and people are not buying, and people don't want to lose their low mortgage rates, and people don't want to buy with high mortgage rates. So this is the conflict that's happening in the housing market. So the housing market does look strong through the prices, but they're actually weak because the activity is very low at the same time, right? So we have that going on in terms of housing. Um, so the other issue is we have oil. So right now I have the hyperliquid chart to show you guys what's going on with oil. And as you guys can see here, oil is back at $74 and it's slowly going up. So this is as well a tail risk that we're not that's still happening right now. As we're talking, the war is happening. Like reports every day, every hour about something happening in Iran or in the Strait or here or there. But as of now, the war is happening, and we don't know what's going on with the Strait. and the fact that oil is pumping over the weekend again is kind of telling us that the war might resume. And as you guys know, people are like insiders are using hyperliquid to long the shit before it comes out in the news. But right now, um, the market, I would say the market has become used to geopolitical headlines and now assumes every escalation will be temporary because that is the Trump way. Like no escalation has kind of sustained itself, and we've seen this as well with the tariffs. He kept escalating, and then it was temporary and things like that. So the market, like in terms of oil, like right now as we're talking, the market is trading like the Middle East or that region, like Iran, Israel, whatnot, is in like danger because oil is going up. But I think we should assume that until it's proven, like confirmation from the U.S. or whatever comes out in the today or tomorrow or something about what's actually happening, right? Um, so oil will still be a risk, I believe, for this summer, and we should pay attention. I think we may see a move to $80 on oil. Above 80, you kind of don't want to see that, right? So if we get above 80, we could then be talking about 95, 87 to 95 type of move, right? But yeah, that would be a flip because right now that was the previous support and we retested it as resistance. So if we may tap it again and reject and go back down, that's when probably good Trump news will come out. But if more bad news comes out here, we flip $80 into support, expect a higher move for oil, as I said, to like 85 to 95, 87 to $95, right? So you do want to keep that in mind. Now, that's pretty much what happened over the last week. In regards to the S&P, Nasdaq, and the Dow, they all gone up. The Dow was the weakest. They gone up roughly a percent, half a percent. Sorry. Um, so the main things that pumped again when it came to the S&P and whatnot was related to tech, was related to AI, related to earnings and all that type of stuff. Um, so you guys, again, most of the heavy lifting in terms of the S&P is done by these tech companies, and right now we're really close to the all-time high again. Well, we are at the all-time high. So the S&P does look like it could break out. I don't want to like it's very hard to predict the top, but if we do one final breakout potentially to like 78, 79, even 8,000, and we do decide to do a big pullback, I don't really see us even breaking 7,000. If we do manage a big move from here and we pull back under 7,600, I don't really see us filling even this whole move. So I think the prices that we saw in 2025 even uh, won't be revisited unless we have a serious economic problem show up. All right. So this week is a pretty hectic week, guys. This is a very hectic week. And we got first off the CPI. So we want to pay attention to what the CPI is. The forecast for the CPI shows that it's coming down, which as well, by the way, um, doesn't make sense because the PPI in May, the PPI in June came in very hot, and that usually translates later into the CPI a month later. So, but again, they're saying that the CPI is going to come at 3.8%, and it's going to be important because we will see whether the energy costs and whatnot, like oil costs and spreading into the services and other goods, like a lot of corporations are reporting. So this CPI will be really important. It's not really just about gas getting expensive. Is it affecting everything else? Is it actually increasing the cost of everything? So which we want to see this week because uh, right after that we have Kevin Warsh is testifying to Congress, and we want to pay attention to what he's saying and the way he's saying it and his tone. So you're gonna have to really pay attention to that. If he sounds patient, if sounds calm, if the core inflation remains cool, like with the CPI and whatnot, and if we start seeing bond yields come down, and then we see like as well crypto and tech stocks continue catching the bid this coming Tuesday, that is a bullish outcome, right? Um, the other thing is for the bearish outcome, if we have core CPI and the CPI come in hot, right? And and during the speech, Kevin Warsh keeps the door open on rate hikes, and then we see the bond yields and the dollar rise while tech stocks and crypto is under pressure. That's the bearish outcome out of this data, right? So again, right after that, we got the PPI. The as you guys can see, came in hot last month. We don't have the forecast for it. As I said, this is going to be really important to watch because the CPI tells us what the consumers already paid, while the PPI tells us what companies may charge the consumer next, right? So, and last report came in fucking hot. So this is why I'm really, really curious as to how the CPI is actually going to come lower compared to the previous numbers while the PPI was really hot. So this is the part where it's like, are they going to cook the books again? More than likely, yes. So it wouldn't surprise me. Keep an eye on it. Um, what else? We got on Thursday retail sales and pretty much, yeah, the retail sales, which is retail sales will show whether consumers are still spending money. Really, it tells us how broke are the consumers right now, right? Um, and we will know whether there's credit card delinquencies, loan loss reserves, what's going on with all these things, right? And especially it tells us what's happening with the lower income consumers, and that's as well a big indicator that people pay attention to. When you can afford things, you can survive. But when people can't afford things, that's when people tend to go risk off, right? So this is what's coming up this week that we need to pay attention to in terms of data, right? Now, in terms of crypto, we saw BTC make a move, but the thing is, guys, this is not a spot led move, and I don't like moves that keep going up and driven by perps, right? This whole week, the Coinbase premium was weak. We had some ETF inflows, but not enough because in the last 2 months we've had outflows, right? We've had outflows of equivalent to $10 billion the last 2 months. This was the first week on the 6-7, like where we had roughly, I want to say 200 and $250 million worth of inflows. That's it. That's the spot pressure. The majority of it came from perps. The move up came from perps, and I showed you guys the last two times when we had a perp driven type of rally. What happens is it's like we, stairs up, elevator down, right? So this is something to pay attention to, right? So a meaningful part of this rally came from actually shorts being forced to close rather than large amounts of fresh spot demand, which is what you want to see entering the market, right? Perps has been always like this whole move up since the bottom, it has been leading the price, which you don't want to see. You actually don't want to see this. So how far up will the perps drive it? I think we may push it up to like 70K, potentially 68 to 70K, and then we do the elevator down type of move, right? Um, so this is the issue that we saw with BTC and in terms of ETFs and whatnot. Again, in the first 2 months, this is the first time we saw ETF flows turn positive. But as well, this is like weak inflows, is nothing crazy that we, nothing really crazy. It was like 250 million total. Um, and but we need to see if this will be a continued trend for the next 2 to 3 weeks. So you really need to pay attention to that. Okay. So that's pretty much what happened in terms of crypto. In terms of crypto, has been a pretty much boring development type of week. The only thing that we are really paying attention to, looking forward to, is the Clarity Act. So the bullish outcome is, it gets supported, and if it does get support, this protects legitimate developers and it gives exchanges, like centralized exchanges, a workable registration path. And if it doesn't get approved, again, this is not really great, but it could cause kind of a dump. Not, I don't know how big of a dump, but I don't think it'll be a big ass dump because I don't think a lot of people care. Because in reality, whether it gets if it gets passed, okay, sure, there's some process forward, but if it doesn't get passed, nothing changes really. Where we are, it stays the same. So I'm not really putting too much emphasis on it getting rejected, being like, oh, that's the reason why we see a downtrend happen again. But yeah, the most important thing to keep an eye on this coming week, you want to pay attention to the ETF flows. Are we going to continue having another positive flow week, right? Or will it turn negative? The other thing you need to pay attention to, because macro still controls BTC, we need to pay attention to the CPI, PPI, retail sales, the way Kevin Warsh is going to testify. Those are going to be important. You need to pay attention to the bond yields. You need to pay attention to the dollar, and most importantly, you need to pay attention to oil. I know it's a lot, but this is the type of week we have coming up. Um, all right, so we need to see what happens. All right. I keep reading reports stating that it won't be approved and poly market odds have to. Yeah, probably. You're right. And like, guys, this is the thing that worries me, is the fact that we know we have a very insider trading type of administration, and we've seen it on Polymarket and whatnot happen before. And the fact that the Fed is not doing any more hand holding for us in terms of being forward with their decisions, that increases the odds of insider trading happening. And, you know, that's not great. So for this coming week, we have, we need a, this is the bullish combination that you want to see. You want to see cooler core inflation with the CPI and PPI. We want to see retail sales show stability. That means the consumer is stable when it comes to spending. We want to see bond yields come down. We want to see the dollar come down, and we want to see ETF inflows continue. That is the bullish combination. The bearish combination is hot inflation numbers. And we have a hawkish Kevin Warsh testimony, right? We see a continued escalation in oil. We see bond yields go up, and we start seeing ETF outflows returning. That's the bearish combination. And the worst part is all of this is happening again middle of the week. I'm sorry, middle of the month. And when it comes to middle of the month, we tend to like typically chop or whatever, do something gay, all that type of shit. So I don't know, because the weekly chart on BTC does look like it depends on the today's weekly close, but we may close and reclaim the 200 moving average, and it does look like it may make a move to the 13 EMA, 200 EMA on the weekly, right? But that all depends on these things this coming week. Okay, so let's look into some charts, and if you guys have any questions, just let me know. Also, some big guy was in charge of it. Yeah, I remember that, Pookie. You're right. The big guy who was in charge of it all in Coinbase resigned. So yeah, that was a indication that something off is happening. And you guys know, like, there's just so many problems happening right now. But it'll clear out. What else? By the way, keep an eye on the USD JPY. You guys see here with every big dump, it was related to the market actually crashing. So if this happens, if this continues dumping while the dollar is actually dumping, that's the mega bear scenario. So if you're paying attention to the dollar and the dollar starts coming down and USD JPY starts coming down as well, fuck, that's not great. That won't be great at all. So let me see here. I'll give you an example. Like you see here, that was the dollar dumping, right? July 1st, 2024. Yeah, this is what you're looking for. That type of move on both won't be great. Anyways, let's look at BTC. Uh, which chart did we usually do? Had anyways, fuck it. Let's stick to the Bitstamp chart. All right. So, and why is the 300 moving average not loading? Am I tripping? Like, where is this 300 moving average now? Why is it not showing on? Okay, whatever. Anyways, we need to pay attention to what BTC is doing on the weekly. If it reclaims the 200 MA on the weekly, that's actually a good sign that we could be telling us that we could be entering kind of a bullish week. And I think we could retest um, the 200 EMA slash. Okay, which will be around 69K. That if we retested that week, I still think if we retested here, ironically, I still think the monthly would close below 66K. So that to me, the 69K, 70K mark, if you're in a long, that would be honestly a good TP point. And you just chill out for a bit and look for weaker momentum, weaker volume and whatnot, and then you could consider opening short. But do I think we bottomed? No, I don't think we bottomed as a macro. I don't think we're there yet. But we'll know better with time. As I said, there's some people that have the idea that BTC didn't bottom, but it's going to paint a move to somewhat around here, uh, 100K. We go back to like 100K, and then again, this is not my idea. I'm just showing you what some people are thinking, and then we actually start 2027 as another bear market where we actually make the full move. sub 40K and whatnot. That's one idea that I've seen, and I said I'm open to all ideas. I thought it was a very entertaining idea, and they do have some justification to it, right? Like the multiple bull devs on the weekly and whatnot. Usually that leads to a very strong move. So as I said, for me, if I didn't know about the 4 year cycle, I probably would have said this is the bottom and we should be bidding here and whatnot, and that's probably a good place and what and all that. Um, but as well, the 4 year cycle has played out, so I have to respect it until that data point is no longer valid at the same time. So this could be either way. This is such an amazing psyop the market has presented us. This is, if you really think about it, this is like one of the like such a good fake out. It really has people divided between is the 4 year cycle gonna continue getting respected, or did we actually bottom here? So yeah, we need to pay attention to that. I think as a start, a move to 70K is probably in the books. That's from the looks of it. And yeah, what else? Like yeah, going to the 70K mark, 69K mark on the 3 day will be a rejection on the 34 and 50 EMAs on the 3 day. Yeah, and this would be a full move, gap filling move to the 100 MA on the daily. And we gotta, yeah, there's a lot of confluence there that we would see rejection at 69-70K, because that seems to be a lot of resistance points. But yeah, let's mark some levels for BTC. We want the 200 MA respected, okay, on the 4 hour. See here, this point of breakdown, we revisit it. We kind of want to hold it to build the move up, right? Because if we hold it, and let's say it'll be another higher low, come here and then build the move to 70K, that's very possible. I would like to see the 200 MA hold on the 4 hour. That's what I'm looking for. I don't want to break that 200 MA, because then we saw the last move, and we'll probably revisit these lows, break 60K or go back to 60K if we break 72.8 thousand, right? So this is the 4 hour support I want to say. I want That's the 4 hour level I want to see hold, right? Um, but yeah, but there seems to be like quite a bit of choppiness here. But the fact that we didn't really break very low yet, and we're still holding what do you call it, 63 and a half, is pretty good sign. On the lower time frame, you guys can see here we're holding it like for dear life, and we're seeing a lot of war news. This is the other thing, we're seeing a lot of war news and we're still holding this level. This is pretty crazy. Like actual reports of bombings and Americans dying, and facilities being destroyed, and UAE and Saudi whatever getting bombed, and we're still here. Like it's pretty crazy to me. Maybe Sailor is buying, who knows? But on the 12 hour, I want to see the 50 EMA hold. That'd be great. But more importantly, if we remove the EMAs, more importantly, it'll be like these wicks that I want to see really hold. It's like a 60.8 to a 61.3K area. that I want to see hold on the 12-hour. We may get that type of pullback because we did print kind of a bearish divergence, and we didn't get a pullback on it. Like that bearish divergence still hasn't played out yet, and it may not play out. We may just get one more move up to like 66K, then we get the actual pullback that we were looking for, and we would probably bid it to 69K, give or take, because right now alts are pumping and all that type of stuff is happening, but BTC dominance is going down. So, and I do want to remind you guys, I don't know why a lot of people are surprised, but every summer we have an on-chain season of some sort. Every summer since 2020. And 2020 was Uniswap DeFi summer, and we were that was the first launch of DeFi and Uniswap and all that type of stuff. 2020. 2021 was NFT summer, right? Axie Infinity, all that type of stuff. 2022 was an extension of the NFT summer, and it was other types of NFTs. 2023 was the start of meme coin summer. It was Pepe, it was Mug, it was Unibot, it was all these things. I don't know if you guys remember. 2024 was Solana meme coin summer. It was the start of Popcat and all those type of things. And 2025, we did have an on-chain summer as well, but it was a weak ass narratives. It was like bullshit. What was it? It was like the Ben Pasternak bullshit launch coin crap that was happening, like that rugged everyone. But anyways, it was a short period of time where you made money. And 2026, we have the on-chain summer season right now, which is Robinhood, which is Ansem, which is cat coins, and all that type of stuff that's happening. So every summer, on-chain season starts of some sort, and that's when people actually make the most money off on-chain. If you just wait for the to trade on-chain every summer, that's when you'll make the most money. Oh, and yeah, as well, this summer we had the Pokemon cards as well. Pokemon card summer on-chain. So every summer there is some on-chain narrative that gets cooked. And last year as well we had the whole Zora. It was the creator. There we go. It was the creator some on-chain summer where we had the Zora and we had the launch coin. We had all these dumb motherfuckers launching stupid shit, but as again it printed. So every summer there's something happening on chain. You just got to keep that in mind. Anyways, so we have the 12-hour level. Let's put it at 61.3. Okay. The daily did not change. It's the same level, the 50 EMA. We still need to get past it. And the 3-day, ironically, is close to the 200 EMA. So let's just keep it at there. That's where we need to get above on the 3-day, the 69K. I think we are going to get somewhat of a move. Especially, we got this big ass fair value gap on the 3-day. So, sorry. And then we come back down and we fill these fair value gaps. Right? And we're going to probably return here during Ghost Month. And then we just continue lower. I don't think Ghost month will be a bottom. Ghost month is a bottom in bull markets, not in bear markets, as I showed you guys before. All right. Um, 1 second here. All right, I'm gonna take a small break. I need to use the washroom real quick. Just give me a second, guys. Then I'll be back and we'll talk about ETH and Solana and do some charting. All right, guys, I'm back. All right, let's see here. The other thing I want to point out on BTC, the 4-hour trend is slowly turning bullish. It is pointing like the 300 MA is near the daily resistance right now. So it really does feel like this Sunday, today, tomorrow, or something, we're gonna get a scam move to here. And if you really, yeah. So it's all about breaking the trend line, and once we do, I think it will be a move straight to the daily resistance level. Okay. All right. Let's look at some ETH. I really wonder why all my lines got deleted. Anyways, ETH is starting to look really good. ETH it is starting to look really good because now we have reclaimed the daily uh resistance. Like we broke out of it, we're breaking out of it. We've looking like we're gonna close above the 50. Well, we closed above the 50 MA and now 50 EMA. So we're looking like a move is cooking to the 3-day resistance level, which is like 2050, and that's around the daily 100 MA. So ETH is actually looking pretty damn good for a move to $2,000, by the way. I mean, if you are bullish on Solana going up, you can't say ETH will go down. But yeah, let me put like ETH is 4-hour is completely changed. Like the trend is completely different than BTC. It's way more bullish looking. Even even Sol looks more bullish looking than BTC. So if you want to build a long, you're actually better off longing BTC sorry, Sol and what do you call it? Uh ETH, by the way. So you are better off longing like Sol right now looks like actually a pretty decent long. Well, because we came to the 4-hour 200 EMA. So as long as we hold that, I think it looks like a pretty decent long. But let's talk about ETH for a second. All right. So ETH is breaking out of its 4-hour trend. And right now, this 200 EMA is where I wanted to see hold 1750. Okay. And for the 12-hour, this right here. I don't want to see us close below the wick. I want us to maintain the structure, right? But as well, we've had some bearish divergence, so a move to 2050 is not out of the question. I mean, especially here, and we reject and we see a lot of bear devs and weak momentum, weak volume. Yeah, that will probably be a good top right here. But yeah, ETH does look like it's has like at the moment this chart looks like there's a move to $2,000 for ETH, and if we get a move to around here, the 1700 to 1750, I think you should bid it and put a stop just if it closes below these levels, right? Um, because right now when it go to the daily, the level that I wanted to see it reclaim, and we talked about it, is being reclaimed 1800, right? So I think ETH has a move to $2,000 cooking right now. And the final boss for ETH is 2500. We still talk about it. It's the 200s, 200 EMA, 200 MA, 300 MA, all clustered right now at 2500. So these are the levels you want to be paying attention to when it comes to ETH. It's very, very simple. Very simple. And a closure above 2050, I believe, will open up a move to the mid 20 like mid 2000s, so 2500. So you need to be this is where you want to TP, in my opinion. If we first if you get a 2000 and you hold your long well, TP first here, and then move up your stop. And if we reclaim to 2050, that's when you set your TPs all the way here, in my opinion. So these are the levels that I'm really looking at for ETH. Even on the weekend, it held pretty damn well. This was the Eric Trump tweet that ETH was pumping, and he was excited. The ironic. But yeah, we came back to it. Um, yeah. Anyways, that's what I have for ETH. That's what I'm looking at. As I said, wait for what I'm waiting for is the daily closure before doing anything here. Let's see what happens with the war and whatnot. If we get a war dump, all that kind of stuff, and if it comes back to these levels and it holds, that's when you take a long. And if we break these levels, that's when you cut your long, because you're longing close to that invalidation level. Okay. What else? So I briefly talked about Soul. 4-hour actually looks like a decent long here, but I really want to see it reclaim the 50 MA, but as well, like the 50 MA is placed in a really good spot because this was where buyers stepped up. So 2930s where buyers stepped up, and then that's when people started selling off. So, but I think, sorry, we got a bull dev here. Bear momentum is shrinking. So if we can reclaim this 2930, I think Solana will be a very good long from that level, especially since it seems like it found support so far on the 200 EMA. But the faster EMAs and MAs are showing kind of like a little bit of resistance. So that's why if we get this close above here, you may be looking at too long the pullback and ride it. Where would we ride it? So let me just mark this. Right now, we saw this last week and we were right at resistance. So the pullback here is not a shocker, to be honest, right? Most important thing for me is I want to see the 12-hour hold this level right here. Roughly 74.50, give or take. I don't want to I don't want Solana to be closing the 12-hour below this level. I don't. Because that just opens up the door to like $70 and whatnot. And this is, I don't want to, this is where I want to see the daily maintain itself. Okay, if we were to have a deep market pullback, at least maintain somewhat of the structure that we're seeing here. So let's say we do come back, we still print a higher low, and that gives us a chance to print a higher high, right? And that's what you kind of want to see. So 69 is where I would want to see the daily support, even though we would lose the daily trend. But I'm more looking at it from without the EMAs, without the MAs, and plus this is where our February dump level was. So hopefully that level will hold if we get a market pullback. But otherwise, if we do see a reclaim of these levels and continue, I don't see why we won't have a much higher move to. Okay, right now we came like this move right here was like literally the 3-day resistance. So clearing that, I don't see a reason why we won't actually go to the 100. And that is where the 34 EMA and the 200. By the way, when you flip the chart on Sol, it really looks like it has bottomed and is starting, like all pullbacks are a bullish bid right now. So that's why I'm not yet convinced that we have bottomed until we start reclaiming the 200 EMA and whatnot. At 200 MA, sorry, which is like 105 on Sol. But yeah, these are the Sol levels that I'm paying attention to. It makes sense to me. Very, very simple. Very, very simple. You don't want to complicate it. And by the way, as we're talking, oil is slowly coming down. So, and BTC is slowly coming up. So this is where you can see the indication that maybe this, whatever's happening at the war right now is not that serious. And we may actually enter a good week. So let's see what happens here. But yeah, so far things are looking pretty decent chart wise. We still haven't really lost any trend on the lower time frame. Like the 4-hour is still maintained, especially for ETH, especially for Solana. Those trends are still maintained pretty well. So yeah, you just have to be a little bit of patience and wait for some clear direction as to what's happening. And honestly, you don't need to rush into any positions right now. Okay. So that is what I have for BTC, ETH, and Sol. Let's look at Zcash because it's pumping. And let me explain what I'm thinking here. So the short entry was incorrect. It was just bad timing. I don't see us. All right. So for now, for me anyways, this is the main resistance. Well, not here. A little bit higher. Yeah. This is where a lot of the price rejected is at the $600 mark. Every time we came close to breaking out, you can see here on the daily over here, over here. This chart reminds me of Solana. Let me see here. I'll show it to you guys. I'll show you what I mean and where. See this? Right here. This move feels like right here. We had the initial pump. Very similar. This was the Trump pump. We came back down. And now we had this weak rally in September, and then we started a severe downtrend on Sol. This bear rally vibe over here, but in a more condensed way. So I don't, if Zeke or Zcash manages to close above the monthly above 600, that could invalidate the bear divergence. Unless August closes red, then we have a double bear divergence happening at that point. But even the awesome oscillator is showing it. So this type of setup takes a lot of patience. A lot of patience. This is why I didn't enter a lot. I gave myself room to be wrong. I didn't even enter a massive position on it. It's okay. But I will wait for this move to play out because I think we're going to potentially run the highs and then close the month below 600. And that's the short that you want to enter. When we run the highs and you want to short that. I think the bigger move here will be to catch the short on Zcash and come back down for the late Q3 going into Q4 dump, right? So yeah, this is what I'm thinking about Zcash. It's looking pretty strong on the 4-hour and 12-hour and the daily. Like this daily close that is going to happen is going to be a fairly strong daily close unless we retrace the full candle, and I highly doubt we will. So we're going to have a pretty good daily close unless, as I said, we come back down and we close it below the yearly open. So unless this happens over the next like 5 hours, which I highly doubt, you may want to be a little bit patient with Zcash, but I think the big short is coming up for it. Think so. And when we look at the fair value gaps, yeah, we got a big ass fair value gap from here all the way here. Well, it's split right here too. So there's like two fair value gaps. Okay, so be patient with it. You're gonna get something good out of it. That's my opinion. Um, let's see, hype. Some people, there's a lot of uh, bearish divergence on the 3-day for hype, and we are struggling with closing above $75, which is the main resistance point. How far down will hype go? I have no idea in this like last 2 quarters of the year, but having hype revisit $20, I don't think that's gonna be the case. It may visit 35. All right. What else? Um, let's look at what's funding is still strong. Here we go. Yep. Binance's Binance, OKX, and Bybit are all positive. Okay. You guys want me to chart anything? Let me see here. Do you think, guys, do you think Sailor is buying right now? The guy had been selling. It would be pretty funny if he bought. Not gonna lie. It would be really funny if he bought. That's nice. Oh, this one, finally. This might be the crime. What is this fucking ugly ass chart? Like, you see these fucking candles. How do I have this alarm? I have no idea. Yeah, this one has. There's a lot of good looking alts. Damn, damn. Eat. A lot of ETH alts printing. There's actually a lot of signs that these alts might do something. Damn. They really pushed this one, huh? Even ETH popped on the scanner, by the way. Even ETH. Let me see here. I'm making a list for you guys of alts that look good. Yeah. Swear, what? What? I thought this one was already back. What the fuck happened? Mm-hmm. Chill, guy. Alright. These are the alts that look somewhat decent. Let me see. Huh. What a chart. Let's just leave shorts for now. Anyways, a lot of these alts I'll probably wait for a pullback, by the way. Like if you want to chart them, grab the watch list, whatever, set it up, mark your levels, keep the ones that you like, mark your levels, set alerts and whatnot, make a plan, and set your bids and all that type of stuff. But yeah, I think there's money to be made. There is money to be made. Yeah. Any other questions, guys? Can I can't circle back to BTC. You can just rewatch the stream. Where I talk about it. It's a lot that I talked about. I think today's stream went by fairly quick. I'm not even sure why. But yeah, let me see here. BTC. Yeah, we're keeping an eye on what happens to oil. See, they know something's going on. So you want to keep an eye on BTC. Anyways, um, you know what? I'll just keep it short since and give some time back to you guys. Let me, can you chart Kato and pump? Yeah, let me see Kato for you. This? Okay. There is some bear devs here. Look. Here. But it really feels like Kato is going to actually have a nice move up if it breaks out. But just keep an eye on this. Because the daily trend has reclaimed it. But momentum seems to be shrinking, so may have just one last move up, but as well, we're at the trend line resistance and we had the fake out breakout and reclaimed under it. Pump. It's trying to reclaim the 4-hour trend. Honestly, if pump makes it back above here, it's a long. 0.0015. So you get above here, you can possibly catch a move to 002, 0019. Okay. But yeah, keep an eye on what BTC does, guys. That's what matters, especially now. Um, we're getting close to the weekly close, and before like I end today's stream, like I'm not gonna give you guys the whole motivational whatever at the end. I'm just gonna ask you guys a question. You know, we're already in June. We're already month 7, and every year this happens to everyone. January feels like yesterday, and all of a sudden, like we're halfway through the year. Soon it'll be October, then it'll be Christmas, then it'll be another New Year's Eve. You know, time doesn't slow down. Just go back to January for a second. Think about all the promises you made to yourself. Um, did you actually keep any of them? Did you do the thing like go to the gym like you wanted to do, or did you save the money you wanted to save? Did you start trading? Did you start taking trading more seriously? Did you build whatever you start building what you wanted to build, or did you learn what you wanted to learn? Did you stop wasting the time that you promised to stop wasting? You know, did you actually keep your word to yourself? Um, that this is what I want you to reflect on. It's not about like putting you in guilt or shame. It's just like I'm being honest with you. Um, like you can lie to everyone else, but you just can't lie to yourself, right? You know whether you showed up so far this year or not, or whether you kept your word. But I just want to remind you guys that you, whatever it is that you promised yourself, you owe it to yourself to actually keep your word, right? And um it's not, the scary part is not just like 6 months have passed. Like a lot of people will always have an excuse, like next Monday, next month, after the vacation, after the summer, after this, after, it's always after something, right, before they start. But time has passed, right? So um yeah, did you actually keep your word to yourself? Did you are you where you want to be, or are you closer to where you want to be? Are you closer to your goal than you were in January? Is it, making progress is not perfect, but did you make any? So this is actually a good time, now that the 6 months have been done and completed, and we're in month seven, and we started Q3. This is a good time to reflect, and even if you didn't start, you still have half the year left. So you don't need to wait till January. You don't need to wait till next Monday. You don't need to wait till whatever. You have 6 months now. You have the rest of the year to actually start. So you guys, today, just sit down, take the time to reflect and understand if you actually put in the effort towards the goals and promises you made to yourself. All right. It's not motivational or anything. It's more about, reminding you that it's important to take accountability for everything that you do or you decide to do, and you actually owe it to yourself to do it. As simple as that. Don't wait for me, don't wait for anyone, don't wait for your family, don't wait for your friends to do anything. Just fucking do it, man. Honestly. So I'm just gonna leave you with that so you guys can actually reflect and remind yourself of who you want to be, and reflect on where you are, and reflect on where you were in January. And even if your money didn't go up, did your knowledge go up? Did something else in your life go up? You know what I mean? Like, did you make progress still? So this is a very, very good time to reflect on it. Um, you know, if you repeated, like, the great way of thinking about it is, if you repeated the last 6 months, would you be, and let's say you repeated for, okay, let's say you repeated the last 6 months with the remaining 6 months that you have for the year, would you be happy? Right? So you can lie, as I said, you can lie to everyone else, but you can't lie to yourself. So take the time today to reflect on that. And yeah, one last thing, next weekend, next Sunday, there will not be a stream because it's the World Cup final, and I'm gonna be watching that just like everyone else in the world. So yeah, next stream will be July 26th. All right, guys. Uh, yeah, I'm gonna leave it at that. I'm gonna close the stream a little bit earlier than usual. I think we talked a lot today. We made a good watch list. We charted BTC Eat Soul. We talked about macro. We have a lot of things coming up this week in terms of data, inflation data, all that type of stuff, which were revised all at the beginning of the stream. If you didn't watch the stream, or you missed something, rewatch it. It's gonna be uploaded immediately. But yeah, let's have a great fucking week, guys. Let's make some money. And yeah, I'll talk to you guys later. Thank you for joining. Take care, guys.